Okay. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It is what time? What it is April 15th. Yes, it's April 15th. This is tax day. I hope everybody hope you got your taxes in. I hope you got the taxes in. It is 9:51. We're starting with this. Okay, we're starting with this. We're starting with this. It is 9:51 p.m. It's been a while since I've done one of these and doing these every week within this last phase of the journey that I'm in hasn't gone as smoothly as I would have wanted. However, and actually I probably should have been going to bed soon, but because it's been a while, I decided to do this now anyway, and it is also hot. And because I'm choosing to not put the AC on and run up my electric bill, I have the fan off right now. So this video actually might be kind of short, but we will see because I really have no idea of anything when I turn this camera on. So I think what I'm going to do is really just do my best to encapsulate um, the first quarter, actually, the first quarter. And first quarter, the Q1 of 2026 actually has been probably one of my stronger first quarters, just in overall growth or overall perspectives or just how things are moving. The last few years, let's see, so if I just take it to moving to Charlotte, and I got here and I really was just it was straight survival. I'm be honest, it was straight survival. Just to the move from Maryland and the emotions pertaining to that, uh, dealing with the grief of no longer being in the relationship that I was in, which I had given a lot of as much of myself as I can give to a situation, to a person, to a group of people. I did. And I loved every single one of them greatly. It was, I'll say the relationship took its course, but we were at a point where not being together was, in my opinion, the best thing overall for where definitely for where we were. And definitely for me to be able to transition back onto being on my own, but still dealing with missing everyone. My entire support system, even the people I didn't see every day. But there's something interesting about proximity. You don't see people. People don't see you. You may not have time, but there's something about but if I feel like it, I can see them. That just for some reason makes you feel closer, even if there is very little interaction. I have family members that I didn't see, but just being as far as I am is just different. And so from being in the position where, I could see people more often to just by myself. And by myself without trying to look to fill that gap. I moved out here for one specific reason, intentionally for one specific reason, that was to be here for Z period. For the last 4 years of schooling, of traditional schooling. And everything was about getting a job, um, getting into this field from this boot camp. And once I secured that, then I don't know, I think everything was just kinda like, "Okay, I'm here." And I used to beat myself up, and I used to feel guilty for not just grinding it out and pushing as hard as I probably could have or should have or whatever anyone put on uh, wants to put on me for that, but I was tired. I spent, I don't know, at that point, well, we can't say 40 years because 40, that, them first few years, you're just a kid, just doing kid stuff. But, a good 20 years of just surviving and figuring it out, surviving and figuring it out, going uphill and taking on the weight of families, family dynamics or relationships, or I attracted people who had a lot going on, uh, more than likely because I had a lot going on, and subconsciously I always felt like I'm the fixer, and I'm always the one to fix things. I'm the one that people can go to, and that people go to when there is an issue. And I sit and I listen and I find a way to figure it out. You know, my ex told me that one of the things that she really loved about me was that I was safe, and I had to. I became a certain person for the people that I surrounded myself with, and I don't even take back. I don't regret or take back any way of how I continue to operate because that was the best of what I knew how to do. So you take all of that, right? And then you go into a space to where it is just you and you. There's just you. And I'm not the type of person to just go outside and fill my time with people because at that time, everything also going outside just felt like spending money. Going outside just really felt like spending money. And so, um, my primary focus was to create some stability in my life and to be as present for Z as possible while continuing to look to grow and be better. And by continuing to focus on growing and being better, leading by example, setting a better as best of example in parenting as I could, so that Z and from a distance to Ron, excuse me, could they can continue to see me grow. And as I grew, I was able to be more present for them. And I didn't necessarily have a plan per se. It was just get better. I would put some goals up, physical health, me work on getting my physical health together and getting and just navigating. But I was lonely for a really long time. I recognized that just being without people that I normally was around, the women I was around, the family members I was around, um, even my oldest son, that last year, some change, it was me and him. But I always had people. And so now, this time around, I didn't. And so I think 2024, I kind of set some solid foundational goals, and most of it was focused on my physical health, and then with some financial health along with it. And then it was the second half of the year where I put my physical health and lifting and eating healthier and losing weight. Um, I think I went from 200 like 200 pounds. December of 2023 down to 158, December of 2024. And then 2025, 2025, kind of, I think psychologically, I was kind of out of it. Um, had a situation, we'll call it a pseudo dating thing, but someone I was interested in, and it just didn't go the way I thought it was going to go. However, it woke me up from the space that I was in, and I made a lot of transitions, um, made a lot of transitional moves in 2025. No, 2024. Yeah, 2024. I made a decent amount of moves in 2024. So like the 2023 and the 2024 time frame, things was moving. But the way 2024 and 2025 4 ended in a great way in some aspects, just looking at how far I've come from where I was. But there was also an aspect I was still out of alignment. And in the end of 2025, I made a very conscious decision that I wanted to break through the barriers that I knew I had I had surrounding me. I knew I was being called for something. I knew I could operate in a more efficient space. I knew I could. And I wanted to do something about it. Didn't necessarily know what, but I wanted to do something about it. And I believe that speaking that out loud one night is what helped set me on the trajectory that I've been placed on. And so I go through so that like speaking that out loud started to then bring my attention to get to my past life regression hypnosis session and the synchronicities that came with that. Then there I ended up going through a major awakening. And so from January to now, the trajectory had been so spiritual focused. I've never had a spiritual focus, a deep internal spiritual focus, intentional moment in space to where I see myself in such a great space. I see myself in such a great space. I've never been this happy just in being. When I say being alive, I don't necessarily mean where I'm alive, because sure, but I get to live. I really get to live. I get to wake up every single day and experience life as it unfolds in whatever way that means. I've never been excited about that. Never been excited about that. And so, yeah, I've rearranged oh, right, Tyler's here. So I'm all over the place, but it's okay. So coming out of the awakening in December, bringing it into January, got a lot of spiritual unfoldment taking place. I'm feeling energy more. I'm feeling things right in the heart a lot more. And moving forward with finding myself up for events that I want to participate in to continue to enhance my spiritual growth. And then grief decides that it's going to kick in. And interesting how there's My ex's father passed the end of January. A very strong, masculine figure in my life. And again, there was a lot that he did for me, and that one was completely unexpected. And then my grandmother, like 2 weeks later, yeah, like 2 weeks later. So I went through one first. I went through a easier version of grief, and then like the matriarch of all matriarchs passes. But for me, it wasn't sudden because she was sick. Like her health had been, kind of going down, and just over the course of time, I just had in my mind that any day that she went to the hospital, this could be the day. Anytime my aunt said my grandmother was sick, okay, well, this could be the day. And I made sure that I did that. Like it was like 2 or 3 months. And for like 2 or 3 months, I talked to her as often as I could. I talked to her at least once a week outside of certain events, and that felt great. And so February was just emotional. February was truly emotional from my grandmother passing, and while I'm going through this spiritual awakening unfoldment, I am work is enhancing, and we are now integrating AI into what we do, and I'm having to figure out how to use these tools um, while still keeping my own autonomy at the same time and not becoming over reliant on it and just having it do the work for me because I never wanted that. And so I just decided to figure out how I use two of them, Claude and Gemini, and said, okay, fine, I'm going through this spiritual unfoldment. And I just start to curate them in a way where I almost create another version of me, you know, because they're just reflective mirrors that just have more access to more information and processing power. But I wanted them to understand how I operated so that when I ask questions or when I start moving forward with things, they already have a framework of how I operate. The only way I was able to do it. So it was like I just simply integrated them into my life on a daily basis at this point, and just been kind of moving in that trajectory. And so I've rearranged my room. I got crystals. I've got incense. Well, excuse me, going to put some other posters up. Gotten back, and I took a month and a half off from working out just to allow my body and my mind to recalibrate from the emotion of the emotional load of what the end of January and February was for me, right? So I went from this spiritual high to this emotional grounding, and it's almost like, okay, let me see how you deal with this, right? Can you learn? Can you use what you've learned up to this point and incorporate it with grief? I feel like I did pretty good actually. And then March just was a recalibration month to where I just I turned off all my alarms, all of my normal routines that I had. I removed them. And it was really just about A, getting to understand the AI tools more and integrating them more into how I operate, and getting back into a stronger groove at work because I am in an industry that where I am not the guy. I am in an industry where I am the people person in the IT group, and I'm extremely proficient, but I've also recognized that I've been working on an outdated mindset and framework of how I saw myself. You have decades of thinking of yourself in a certain way, and you gotta turn things on when you need to turn them on, and that's really been a process. And I ain't gonna lie. Like, I'm here, and I am in the most perfect place that I can be in for me. I I've never really say I love a job, but I 1000% love what I do, and I love the company that I work for. Like, there's so much that they do. Culture is amazing, and what I'm able to do here is even greater, and it fits the people side of me and the technical side of me. And so I am now in the space to where it's just a matter of stepping into who I know I am. But it's the one thing in to say it, but it's the other thing in the being in it. And we're still walking and working in the being in it. But I have a much stronger internal framework, updated software, if you will, on who I actually am. And that's the part that's exciting and that's fun and that I'm embracing. So I'm just getting myself to working out again. This is week 3 of the ramp up. So 2 weeks ago, I only did 2 workouts of my 6. Last week, I did 3. I just finished my 3rd workout for the week. So we got 3 more for a total of 6 because I work out 6 days a week. Um, Now focus on the reducing a lot of a decent amount of this body fat, and and then from toning to then getting lean, so my body can be in the most optimal that I want it to be in for myself, which will allow this me to be a better vessel for the spiritual space growth and unfoldment that I'm going into. Z is graduating in 3 weeks, so that's a chapter. Um, Going from breaking down in therapy emotionally in November to having therapy every week. My hypnosis session helped push me forward to see myself differently, and now I'm monthly. We've graduated to going monthly and transitioning into working into getting slowly updating my wardrobe, going to um, work in cologne regularly into my space, which is not a thing that I normally do, not a thing I normally did. But I want to, when I step this version of Mike, when I step outside, I want to be as present, and I want to be as present as possible, and I want, when I step outside, who I embody to be present outside. I've been operating off of survival. I just been wearing what was comfortable, what was free, or what was given, or whatever. But now I will be transitioning through into creating a style that actually speaks to me, wearing scents that actually speak to me, showing up in the way that I really want to show up in life, and with no rush. But this is my intention, and quite honestly, just speaking, living, being, embodying all ideas of abundance that I can, because I really do have a lot. I've been given a lot. There's a lot that I'm able to share. So to be able to say I am a pillar of abundance, I've got to be able to resonate with what that even really means when I step into a space, not having a thought or a mindset or a belief that my value is lower than it truly is. So, it's almost like these next 45 years that I see is almost like my new game plus, and with more wisdom, more experience, and a whole new set of gear. A whole new set of gear. We will definitely be enhancing our gear uh, for this next phase. So I definitely got some events coming up, some spiritual based events, some channeling events coming up. At Chris Brown Usher concert just got announced, and I had told myself I wasn't going to go to any concerts. I told myself I wasn't going to go to any concerts. Everything was going to be focused on pouring back into me, but this one, I may have to go. I may have to go. I may have to go. And I'm okay going by myself. Last time I went to a Usher concert, I bought tickets for two. It ended up just being me. This time, I may just buy that one ticket for me and sit where I sit and just enjoy watching them dudes do what they do. I didn't see the Chris Brown concert, so seeing Usher and Chris Brown at the same time actually might be it. Think they're gonna be here in July, and they're gonna be here in July. So, um, yeah, man. First quarter is in the books, and this is probably the most progressive for first quarter. Every quarter, the beginning of the year, things that kind of been maybe on a either going somewhat down in certain areas. It would kind of be up and down. But here, I all I feel is up. I feel this has been the best start to a year that I can recall in a while, in a in a really, 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 really long time. In a really long time. So ideally, I will be back next week. But the way things are going, I don't know. It could be a few weeks. It could be not. Um, but yeah, do something to smile today. Do something to smile today.